Why are you always tired, stressed, and struggling with your weight, even when you literally feel like you're doing everything right? It is an incredibly frustrating question, isn't it? You might be eating reasonably well, you're trying to get enough sleep, and yet you still feel like you're completely running on empty. Well, if that sounds familiar, trust me, you are not alone. The mystery behind all this modern, unexplained fatigue and stubborn weight gain often traces back to a single, delicate system in your body that is constantly under attack. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the Invisible Saboteurs, reclaiming your hormonal symphony. We're going to take a really close look at the endocrine system. I want you to think of your hormones not just as random chemicals, but as this intricately conducted symphony that regulates your mood, your appetite, your metabolism, and your energy. And right now, for so many of us, that beautiful symphony is under total siege from our modern environment. Okay, let's dive into this roadmap for today. First, your delicate hormonal symphony. Second, hidden toxins in plain sight. Third, lifestyles that sabotage your hormones. Fourth, the mind-mitochondria connection. And finally, natural ways to restore balance. Starting right off with part 1, your delicate hormonal symphony. To truly understand how things go wrong, we first have to understand how they're actually supposed to function. Hormones are basically your body's chemical messengers. They travel through your bloodstream to target organs, and they have profound effects on literally everything, from how you digest your lunch to your overall physical and emotional state. The rhythm of reproductive hormones like estradiol and progesterone is a highly coordinated dance. They aren't just released in a steady stream, they're released in tiny bursts or pulses, usually every 1 to 3 hours. That's why you don't see constant levels circulating in the blood. But here's where the trouble starts. Physical or mental stress can completely unsynchronize this delicate modulation. Once those pulses are disrupted, the entire system falls completely out of rhythm. That brings us to part 2, hidden toxins in plain sight. So what's causing this massive disruption today? Well, we're dealing with an invisible enemy that surrounds us every single day, an enemy our ancestors never had to face. I'm talking about endocrine disrupting compounds, or EDCs. EDCs are exogenous chemicals, which just means they come from outside your body, and they interfere with pretty much every aspect of hormone action. They can mimic your natural hormones, they can block them from binding to their intended receptors, or they can even alter the natural pattern of how your hormones are synthesized. And the truly terrifying part? They are absolutely everywhere in our modern environment. We are absolutely surrounded by everyday sources of these disruptors. Take a look at this. We've got bisphenol A, or BPA, which is used to make hard plastics durable. Then there are phthalates, which make plastics soft and are super common in cosmetics and fragrances. There's PFOA in non-stick cookware and, crazy enough, microwave popcorn bags. And of course, widespread agricultural pesticides like DDT and atrazine. Now, it's important to remember that the vast majority of these EDCs were never designed to alter your hormones. They were just created to meet the needs of a rapidly expanding post-World War II industrial economy. Simply put, they were built for mass convenience, not for human biology. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the actual structure of these chemicals. If you look at natural endogenous estrogen right there at the top, and then compare it to pesticides like DDT and plastics like BPA right beneath it, you'll see some terrifying structural similarities. Because they look so alike, these toxic man-made chemicals can literally mimic your natural estrogen. This allows them to completely hijack your receptors and trick your body. Let's move into part 3, lifestyles that sabotage your hormones. It's not just the environmental chemicals at play here. Our daily habits play a massive role too. Because honestly, even if you lived in a completely chemical-free bubble, modern living is fundamentally at odds with our biology. Think about it. Your body operates on a circadian rhythm, this ancient 24-hour biological cycle, completely synced with daylight. So when you live a modern disrupted day staring at blue light screens late into the night and eating heavy meals right before bed, you absolutely sever that natural signaling. Eating late keeps your stress hormone, cortisol, sky high, which wrecks your sleep and repair cycles. Meanwhile, that pervasive blue light exposure hampers your mitochondrial activity. And that is a crucial step for your body to naturally manufacture its own steroid hormones. And then, of course, we have the dietary saboteurs that we actively consume. Added sugars? They consistently promote severe insulin resistance, basically blocking your cells from properly using energy. Fructose, which is everywhere in soft drinks, directly spikes belly fat and causes metabolic issues. And alcohol actually actively interferes with the HPG axis, which is the communication pathway between your brain and your reproductive organs. This heavily alters fertility and messes with your natural testosterone and estrogen balance. All these choices trap us in this exhausting cycle of fatigue and hormonal chaos.
Part 4. The Mind-Mitochondria Connection.
This brings us to a really cutting-edge area of research. We so often separate our mental stress from our physical health, right? But science is showing us that this dualism between the mind and the body is completely an illusion. And this brilliantly illustrates the concept of psychobiology. From the Miss By study, it maps out how intertwined they truly are. Your mitochondria are the tiny powerhouses inside your cells. They transform the oxygen you breathe and the food you eat into the actual energy that powers every single mind-body process, including how you perceive and respond to stress. Cellular energy is the ultimate currency of your health. So what happens when you're stressed out all the time? Your body perceives a constant threat, and it triggers a chronic cortisol release. To fuel this constant state of high alert, your mitochondria are forced to divert precious energy away from longevity-promoting processes, what researchers call growth, maintenance, and repair, or GMR. This energetic diversion literally drives the stress-to-aging cascade. It even elevates inflammatory markers in your blood, like IL-6, which just further disrupts hormonal communication. The takeaway here? Mental stress physically drains your cellular energy.
Finally, Part 5. Natural ways to restore balance. Let's fix this.
I know this all sounds a bit bleak with toxic chemicals, modern diets, and chronic stress, but you have incredible power to fix this by taking control of your circadian rhythm and your diet. So the crucial point is starting with these 3 steps. Step 1, eat 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal. Protein decreases your hunger hormone, ghrelin, and gives your body the amino acids it desperately needs to literally build peptide hormones. Step 2, fast for 12 to 14 hours overnight. Giving your gut a break aligns your meals with daylight and beautifully stabilizes your insulin and leptin. Step 3, get at least 7 hours of uninterrupted deep sleep. That is when your brain releases crucial growth hormones to repair the damage from the day.
Let's move on and see how this builds when we stack on some dietary and physical interventions. Adopting a Mediterranean diet rich in whole grains and cruciferous vegetables has been shown to actually lower excess estrogen levels. Loading up on high-fiber foods like avocados and beans boosts your fullness hormones and feeds your gut microbiome. Adding in healthy fats like MCT oil and omega-3s prevents your cortisol levels from spiking when you're stressed. And of course, regular exercise directly increases your cell's sensitivity to insulin, making sure nutrients and hormone signals are delivered effectively. And the best part? That happens completely independently of weight loss. But beyond just the physical inputs, we absolutely have to address the mind-mitochondria connection through mind-body interventions. Clinical practices like meditation and mindful yoga have actually been shown to physically lower cortisol, normalize reproductive hormones, and restore natural hormone rhythms, especially in conditions like PCOS. Similarly, ancient practices like Qigong, specifically the Huanjingbu meditation, focus on breathing deeply into the lower abdomen. This physically lowers cortisol and restores GnRH pulsatility without triggering a stress response.
All of this perfectly culminates in this really powerful thought. Hormone optimization must transcend the mere supplementation of depleted hormones. By fostering an environment that respects the body's inner clock and promotes mitochondrial vitality, we empower ourselves to naturally produce hormones. The big takeaway here is that your body desperately wants to heal. It is perfectly capable of producing exactly what it needs, provided we just stop sabotaging it and start respecting its natural ancestral rhythms. Which leaves us with the absolute most important question of this explainer. What one invisible saboteur will you eliminate from your routine today? Are you going to finally swap out those plastic food containers? Will you stop scrolling on your phone an hour before bed to cut out that blue light? Or maybe you'll just focus on getting 30 grams of protein at breakfast. Pick just one thing, start today, and take that very first step toward reclaiming your hormonal symphony. You've got this.